when you're looking at campaigns, you obviously want to look where wasted spend is happening, and you want to cut those off right away. Now, of course, there's a lot of situations where, hey, profitability doesn't really play as a big role because we're trying to just get more impressions. But again, impressions doesn't necessarily mean people are actually purchasing or going into your product detail page. So in that situation, you want to look at, are my clicks growing? And if they are, then I'm achieving what I want to achieve. Even though my ROAS is not where it needs to be as far as efficiency, I'm still reaching new customers and they're clicking, and they might not be purchasing now, which is why my ROAS is not in a good place. But I've at least introduced my brand to customers, to new customers. They're clicking and they're becoming aware of my brand. So if that's what your goal is, then it's fine. But for the most part, generally speaking, you really want to cut anywhere where wasted spend is happening. That's going to allow you to reallocate that spend elsewhere where it's going to be much more efficient, and it's going to be much more impactful. So that's always the first thing that you want to look at when it comes to the campaigns. As far as the frequency is concerned, you don't really get results until after 2 weeks when you set up a campaign. Now, after the first 2 weeks, you finally get your data, but with that data, you want to utilize that information to start making adjustments. And once you make those adjustments, it's another 2 weeks for you to see the results. So we're talking about a month time from the time that you set up first campaigns. And even after a month, depending on what you really want to go after, depending on the time period that you're in, it's not about taking your foot off the gas pedal if it's not going the right way. It still does take time for that momentum to build and for that campaign to really start taking off. As a matter of fact, we have observed in the past that brands that have campaigns, sort of legacy campaigns, we would call them, that have just been existing for a longer period of time, when we set up new campaigns that are very similar to those legacy campaigns, those new campaigns, they do not perform as good as these legacy campaigns from the get-go, even though they're the exact same thing. You would expect that they would perform at a similar rate because you're setting up the exact same thing. But as a matter of fact, that does not happen. So what that tells you is that the longer that you run a campaign, the more chances are that it will be more effective in the future. You don't want to set it and forget it, but at the same time, you want to continuously make adjustments and keep improving that campaign so that this way in the future, it's more efficient. A lot of brands make the mistake of opening up a campaign, letting it run for a month. They don't see the exact results that they want. They turn it off and then they open up a new one. And that's a mistake because you're always hitting the reset button every time that you do that. And you're not really allowing your campaigns to gain any sort of momentum. And that's basically killing your growth and your scalability.